Hello everyone. In today's lecture, I will show you how to use LaTeX to prepare scientific documents. LaTeX gives us the way to write scientific documents with high quality typesetting system. It includes features that helps us to write equations and write scientific documents in a more formatted and easy to write manner. In other words, LaTeX help us writing equations in a coding format as if we are writing codes, and then it automatically typesets that coded format of the document into a nicely visualized format which we can then use to submit or to communicate our documents. So let's first start with what environment we need to start with LaTeX. Previously, I used to use Text Studio to use LaTeX, and Text Studio is nothing but an integrated writing environment for creating LaTeX documents. It is open source and available for major operating systems like Windows, macOS, and Linux. I have used Text Studio for Linux system for several years. However, recently I have switched to online version of LaTeX. It is useful because I do not have to install anything in my computer, but I still can leverage the utility of LaTeX. And the online version that uses LaTeX and helps us writing scientific documents is the website called overleaf.com. So in here, I would first suggest you to go to the website overleaf.com, and as you go there, you will be prompted to this page. However, you need to have an account on Overleaf to start writing documents using LaTeX. So as a first step, you click here on this register button, and then you will be directed to this page. Simply put your email address and password and register using your email. And after that, register, you will get to see this page. And you will see here that you are asked to create your first project. You simply click here, and then it will ask you, do you want to create a blank project, or you want to create an example project, or you want to upload a already created project. So I would suggest you first start with the blank project, because this is the one that will give you the overall idea how to work with LaTeX as a whole. So just click on here and then give the name of the project. Suppose you want to give the project name as robotics, and then you hit click. And then as you can see here, immediately you will get to see that you have an account that gives you the document called main.tech, and then there is another window here. This is the editor window, and this is the visualization window. So all you do in this window, you write your document here, and then you click here recompile, and that will create the updated document here again. So let me first change the author name. Let's it be my name here. And you also want the title of the project to be, suppose, robotics assignment. And then you also can change the date of the project, in this case, which is January 2021 by default. That appeared here. You do not have to use that date. You can also edit it from here. I'll just keep it as it is for now. Next, if you see in this line, which says that begin document, and then in here line 14 we see that end document command. So this is where you write your stuff. In other words, all the documents that you will be writing, everything goes inside begin document and end document. Then in line 10 we see another command called make title, and this make title is nothing but it will create the title of the document and visualize here. So since I have changed my author name, I'll hit this button and say recompile, and you can see that the name has changed to the name I have edited here. Now in line 12 we see that there is a command called section, and then that command takes a string as argument, which is introduction or the name of the section in this case. Now you can make these to anything. So you can make this section name to be, suppose, your question 1. Suppose you want to write answer of the question number 1 of your assignment. So make the section name to be question 1. So it becomes question 1. And you also want that the section number before question 1 to be omitted. So what you do, you put a star mark there or asterisk there, and it will now omit the section number. You can also write up now things here. Suppose you want to write an answer that robotics is a scientific research field, and then you compile either using this button using mouse click, or you hit Ctrl plus S. That will compile your document as well. And sometimes you do not need this particular space here because you just have only one document. You know the name of the document, which is main.tech. So if you do not want to see this part all the time, you click here and it will hide that space for you, and you now have an increased area for the editor of the Overleaf document that you are preparing here. Okay, so now suppose you want to write a equation. Now when you start writing an equation, there are two different kind of case that may arise. So there could be equations which are inside the paragraph or the text paragraph that you are writing. In that case, suppose in here the sentence that we have started here and we want something right after that. So suppose we want to write with this line in the same line as x plus y is equal to c. So in this case, what I have done is I used two dollar signs at the beginning of the equation x plus y is equal to c and at the end of the equation. So there is an opening dollar sign and there is a closing dollar sign, and then you write the equation in between, and that will create the equation in the same line of the text document that we have been writing here. So sometimes this is useful, but sometimes we want the equation to be in a separate line. Suppose it's a key equation that you want the reader to think about, or this is a key equation that you want it to be in a separate line, suppose. So in that case, you first create some space and then you create $4 signs, and after $2 signs you start writing your equation. Now suppose this is a complicated equation, which is suppose something like a plus b, and then suppose times c is equal to d. Then you write inverse. So these are suppose matrix, a b c are all matrices, and suppose you have the inverse there, and everything you can write in this equation here. So all this is saying is a and b are first added, and then c is multiplied with that, which is equal to d inverse e. So for writing d inverse, I have used this notation, and then within the curly bracket I have wrote the -1 to finally get the expression for d inverse. And then for e I have e here, I just wrote e. Okay, so this is the way you write equation in a new line. So once more, if you want to write equation in the same line, you use single dollar sign to start the equation, and after you are done writing the equation, you use another dollar sign to close the equation environment. And when you want to write the equation in a new line, you use $2 sign to start the equation environment, and then you write down the equation, and after you are done writing the equation, you use $2 sign to close the equation environment. And once you are done, you either hit Ctrl S to compile, or you click here this button to compile, and you will then see the equation appear here. And this is the document that we'll be preparing at the end. So this is a simple example how to write equation. Now suppose you want to create another section. Suppose in this document you want to create another section, and as you can see that as I am writing, I am also given some suggestions automatically what I want to write. So you can use those facilities as well, that will basically make your writing much quicker. So suppose now in this section you want to write the solution for question number 2, and you want that question number 2 to be written, and you want this section is numbered. Now see here, since I have not used the section number for question 1, when I want to use the section number for question 2, it starts with 1. However, if we also had wanted that question 1 section should also be numbered, then I see that after compilation that section 1 is question 1 and section 2 is question 2. So numbering are matching. Okay, so now in suppose section 2 you want to write a matrix. And how do you write a matrix? So in order to write a matrix, here is the trick. So you can also write an equation using for suppose you want the equation to have an equation number. So in that case, you want to invoke the equation environment, and for that you first say that slash backslash, and then you write begin, and then you say equation, and then you start typing the equation. And suppose the equation you want to write is A is a matrix. So you want to write A is equal to B times D. and then you just compile, you get A is equal to B times D, and now you see the difference here. So when we wrote the equation in question number 1, we did not get any equation number. However, when we used equation environment to write the equation, that is another way to write the equation. In that case, we see that we also get the equation number 1 here. Now suppose you want this equation to be cited or to be referred to some other place. For that, we can say that this equation has a label. So we give the equation a label. Suppose this label is equation is eqn1. Okay, and then you write some statement here that above is the equation written inside the equation environment. Or you want to then say that equation 1, so you write equation, and then in order to refer to the equation number 1, we write slash ref, and then we use the label for that equation, which is eq underscore. You can see that we already have the suggestion for this one. So since I have only one equation labeled, so I get only one suggestion here. If we would have written multiple equations with different labels, we'll be given suggestion with multiple of such suggestions. And then you will just use your up and down arrow to select any equation label that you want to refer here. So equation 1 is a matrix equation. Suppose that's something you want to write. So you get like this. You can see that I have not explicitly mentioned in the editor which equation number I want. However, I used the identification of that equation that I want to refer. And what is that identification? Which is same as the label of that equation. In this case, which is equation colon eqn1, eq colon eqn1. And then it automatically understood which equation I am referring to. It gave the number of the right equation here. Let me write down equation array eq array, and then since I now have invoked the equation array environment, I'll be now able to write multiple equations. Okay, so let me write down one equation. Suppose this matrix, which is a function of suppose theta, and then theta also has a subscript 1. So just see how I am using subscript underscore for and I am using underscore to write the subscript, and slash theta, which is nothing but writing theta in the LaTeX editor, and that will, when I'll compile, I'll get the theta in the compiled document. Hope this is clear. So I'll then copy this one, and then I'll use it for suppose dot y. Here I'll use another Greek symbol which is not, say suppose gamma, and I'll say gamma 2, and here I'll say some other matrix, suppose R. So as you can see here, I get rot x, which is a function of suppose theta 1 times rot y, which is suppose a function of gamma 2, and you multiply those two, you get another matrix R here. Okay, so this is just one equation. Now suppose you have two equations or multiple equations, or as many equations as you want to write together. So you first use this double slash that will let the editor know that you are done with your first equation and you now want to write your second equation. Suppose the second equation is something similar to the first one, and you copy here, change these to suppose are z. Now instead of theta, you now suppose have here alpha, and instead of r rot y here, you now here has rot x, and this is taking theta 2 as input, and when you multiply this you get another rotation matrix, suppose which is R2, and click here. Okay, so as you can see that you can write multiple equations one after another now. So I have just shown you with two equations. The first equation is numbered as 2 and the second equation here is numbered as 3 inside the equation array environment. Now one thing you can notice here is that the equal sign are not very aligned for equation 2 and equation 3. So if you want those equal signs to be aligned with each other, so all you need to do, you just use the and signs before and after the equal sign. So this will make the equation aligned. So this is one way to align equations. And wherever you use the uh, and sign, you are basically aligning that part of the equation. So now you see that the two equal signs are aligned here. So I think this is all about equations. So this is just to show you that how you can get started with writing documents using LaTeX and in Overleaf environment. I would suggest you go through multiple examples, and once you start writing documents in Overleaf using LaTeX, once you get habituated with this, I'm sure that you will be using it for your next document writing. Thank you.